Good morning. Welcome to Rising. We have a huge show for you today, just massive. We even have these new stickers. You called them sticks?
That's what the teleprompter.
Oh, I thought that was like a cute thing you do, but you were just reading what
Absolutely not.
the
I was just anger manning the teleprompter.
Okay, well, that's a disappointment. I thought that was like a cute little thing you did.
It can be.
Okay,
it can be starting now,
is.
Robbie.
Now it is. What else do we have going on?
Well, Dr. Trita Parsi will be here to discuss the $5.5 billion in aid to Ukraine pledged by the White House just this week. And Alan McLeod will explain how Facebook is aiding on the side of Ukraine in the fact-check war. You'll never guess who's funding it.
I bet I can.
But first, former President Trump said his Mar-a-Lago home was raided by the FBI yesterday, and they also accessed a safe from Trump's estate during the warranted raid. This is according to the Washington Post. The report states that the activity is related to an investigation into the potential mishandling of classified documents. Supporters of former President Trump showed up after news broke out about the search, and a crowd gathered with Trump flags.
Amber Athey tweeted this point: a violation of the Presidential Records Act bars someone from running for office again. So could this be the end game behind the raid? According to the Times, the penalties for taking government files after leaving the White House include disqualification from holding any federal office, and that would bar Trump to return to the presidency. Okay, so a lot to discuss here. My kind of broad impression of the raid is I'm seeing, so I don't agree with like the takes I'm seeing from either side. Right now, the Democrats are saying like, yes, this is the end game. It was all leading to this season finale, etc. We got him, it's coming. And Republicans are saying, this is the gravest crime ever committed against a citizen of the United States.
Banana Republic.
Banana Republic.
Yeah.
Banana Republic. One of my colleagues separately didn't tweet it at a reason, said it's a banana republic when your enemies persecute you. It's a based republic when you persecute your enemies. Okay. But there's been no transparency here. We do need to understand why this was done. The kind of state, like the classifying of, the president is allowed to declassify documents. So if it really is only that, he has these documents, like that seems very much nothing, and that, or that this behavior is far too dramatic, given how low stakes that is. So now if there's more to it, there's more to it, but it is not appropriate, in my view whatsoever, to not be transparent about this and to, kind of leave people to guess. And yes, I do think law enforcement can be weaponized against people, has its own agenda. DOJ, FBI, DHS, etc. Clearly are hostile to Donald Trump, and it is not at all out of the realm of possibility that there's some political persecution going on here. Now, and also that they violate people's civil liberties, they try to get them in perjury traps and all that to everyone. And my criticism then of Republicans is they only care about law enforcement abuses when Donald Trump is the target of them.
Right.
Why don't we care when it's anybody else?
So there is an argument that the conservatives are making that there is an asymmetry between this unprecedented raid of a former president's house and the nature of the charges. I think this is a point that you made, that ultimately, if it is about mishandling documents, why this? And the argument that's being made by some largely Democrats is that Trump hasn't been cooperating with this investigation. There was this reporting from Maggie Haberman at the New York Times that there was evidence of destruction of documents, and there might be some urgency because of that. Of course, Republicans and Donald Trump in his written statement said that he had been cooperating. There seems to be some tension there that will be resolved, I'm sure, as we learn more. Obviously, this raid just happened yesterday morning, despite most of the footage being from the protesters around Mar-a-Lago in the evening. Trump, we should say, was not at Mar-a-Lago. I believe he was in New York when this happened. So the part that is also concerning to me is that so many Republicans are now apparently FBI abolitionists. I saw people as diverse as Candace Owens saying, we got to get rid of the FBI. How dare they do this? And yeah, it is frustrating as someone who has routinely and consistently been critical of the overreaches of the police state and the extent to which these organizations are often weaponized against low-income people and vulnerable people in particular, that only now is this a concern.
When push comes to shove, Republicans will vote in near lockstep to reauthorize every one of these abusive behaviors.
Yeah.
From FISA to NHS to FBI to TSA, all of the routine violations we endure that they complain about when Donald Trump is the target are things they voted for and will vote for again because they've already done it.
Yeah.
A number of times. I wish they would live up to their rhetoric on this issue, and not just for Donald Trump's sake, but for everyone's sake.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm inclined to just go ahead and agree and take the win. If we are suddenly aware of the fact that the organizations can be weaponized against people for political reasons in these ways, great, because it's happened to Fred Hampton, it's happened to Martin Luther King Jr., it's happened to any number of socialist and communist organizations.
It's happened to people you've never heard of. It's happened to just common citizens.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I was watching almost exclusively Fox News coverage of this last night, and the words Banana Republic were said over and over and over again. Discussion of how the FBI is now all of a sudden not one of the Blue Lives Matter organizations that people should be protecting and defending. Calls for violence against the state were routine on Reddit and on Twitter from the same folks who contended that protesting and property destruction in the context of Black Lives Matter was completely uncalled for. And I do think this is an interesting moment where people have to reflect on how I think that they don't actually have concerns with various types of protest and response. It is ideologically motivated. And we should just say that. You believe that it's right to react in a certain way when it's your guy at stake. You know, liberals and leftists believe it's okay to react in a certain guy when it's their issues or their causes at stake. And we should talk about our ideological differences more than these proxy wars about I don't like how you've protested, or I think that the way you're wielding speech or these government organizations is inappropriate. Although I do think the broader point about political vindictiveness and weaponizing these organizations like the FBI and the CIA for political ends is a point that I hope Republicans hold on to for longer than just this moment.
Yeah, but they won't, because they never do. And so, make no mistake. I don't want to hear it. I want to see action, not just words. It's too much words. It's too much talk. But that said, it's going to be the Democratic side of this, the law enforcement side of this, needs to produce immediately a stronger rationale for doing this kind of thing.
Well, look, if the rationale was this, to secure these documents, it is unprecedented to take this kind of a step to do so. But if the end game really is trying to dissuade Donald Trump from running for office because he has, violated the statute that some people think would preclude him from doing that. Now, there has been pushback. I saw Ben Shapiro arguing that, the statutory prohibitions against him running for president don't outweigh the constitutional requirements that are the bare minimum of being 35 and being native-born citizen and all that sort of thing. And so legal experts will weigh in on that. But if that really is the argument to try to preclude him from doing it, from running for office, strategically, I almost have to admire Democrats for actually doing something potentially effective. In terms of the zeitgeist and the public perception of, democracy and kind of fairness, it's not a great look.
It's bad. It's real bad.
And people are saying that, this is going to encourage Trump to get in the race earlier. Apparently, he's being urged to go ahead and declare his candidacy to take advantage of this moment where people are feeling really chagrined. There's also been a robust conversation about what this means for Ron DeSantis, who arguably is going to be Trump's biggest primary challenge. And he, of course, was tweeting sympathetically in favor of Trump, in defense of Trump.
And my bottom line here would be that it is not, broadly speaking, law enforcement's job to decide who the next president is going to be. That responsibility belongs to the people, or at a minimum to its elected representatives who did weigh in on the question of whether Donald Trump was fit for office in the wake of January 6th. In my view, the answer is clear: no, he's not, and they should have voted to remove him from office, but they didn't. So again, that was the mechanism, and that mechanism did not take that corrective action, and so then it's going to be back in the people's hands if he wants to run. And so all of this tactically, the tactical considerations are really secondary here, because this is a question of whether what's going on is proper. But if you want to bring in the tactical conversation, this could massively backfire. This could make, I'm already seeing a lot of people saying, if Trump beats this, he's going to be a shoo-in for, and this could end up being a one-day news cycle if nothing comes of this. But so I'm very hesitant to endorse that view, but just as you could could, if they're trying to make him ineligible for the presidency, they could make him more appealing as a candidate by making him seem more victimized.
Well, those of us who have been guarding against overreaches into our civil liberties and have been warning about the overreaches by the police state for years are often told by conservatives that if you haven't done anything wrong, why are you worried about being investigated? If you haven't done anything wrong...
Well, I heard that from Democrats yesterday over those new tax agents.
Well, why are you worried about being stopped and frisked and patted down under Bloomberg's authoritarian New York regime? Like, why are you worried if you haven't done anything wrong? And I do think it's interesting, to hear Republicans push back against that and the hypocrisy of that. Because there is an argument, I'm just mooting this out, there is an argument that, yes, proceed to try to take Trump out on a technicality, on a statutory technicality, is undemocratic. But the reality of the situation is if the statute does provide that you preclude someone who's done something illegal and broken the law in these ways from being president of the United States, well, there's an argument consistently with what the Republicans have been saying this whole time that if you don't want to be precluded from having the normal democratic avenues to being president, don't break the law. It's a similar argument that people make about, undocumented people and folks in a myriad other contexts. So I do think Republicans are going to have to contend with the fact that this is the first time that they've ever apparently been sensitive to the idea that you can have the criminal system weaponized against people in political ways. And it's not about whether or not you've committed a crime or done something wrong. It's about the selective persecution of people who do wrong things. Yeah. And that's what, again, the liberal argument has been about these, stop and frisk policies and other kind of aggressive policing policies, that people use drugs at a similar rate across racial differences and all these other kinds of things. But when you heavily police some neighborhoods, you're going to get more hits in certain groups and amongst certain demographics, and that's been used to create a whole tiered criminal justice system in this country for a long time.
Well, Trump's popularity only looks to be gaining some steam. Over the weekend, he won the CPAC straw poll with 69% of the vote, followed by DeSantis with 24%. Trump has expanded his lead from the last CPAC poll in February when he received 59% support and DeSantis received 28% respectively. Take that with a grain of salt. It's not a scientist, it's a survey of CPAC attendees. He responded to the raid saying, quote, after working and cooperating with the relevant government agencies, this unannounced raid on my home was not necessary or appropriate. It is prosecutorial misconduct, the weaponization of the justice system, and attack by the radical left Democrats who desperately don't want me to run in 2024.
Meanwhile, Republican leader Kevin McCarthy tweeted, the Justice Department has reached an intolerable state of weaponized politicization. When Republicans take back the House, we will conduct immediate oversight of the department, follow the facts, and leave no stone unturned. Attorney General Garland, preserve your documents and clear your calendar. House Republicans also now calling for an investigation into the DOJ after the raid.
None of these people, by the way, want Trump to be president again or run for president. Kevin McCarthy, obviously Ron DeSantis, he wants to be president. He's going to run for president. All of these people actually, secretly, they won't admit it, agree with the goals of the FBI here. They don't want they think Donald Trump, they don't want to deal with him anymore, and they think it would be more likely to lose than Ron DeSantis. So they actually share the goal, but they can't say that because they know, and maybe then you can say, maybe it's principled. They think this kind of thing is wrong, but and I agree that it is wrong. But then live up to the principle. The next time you're in power, actually curtail the abusive powers of these agencies. Please care about someone other than Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and one that Laura Trump was making on Fox News last night, that this isn't just about a Democratic vendetta, that lots of Republicans, establishment Republicans, don't want Donald Trump to run, and people should keep their eye out for that particular alliance between the establishments of both parties against maverick Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, we'll see. All right, we are going to have more Rising right after this. Stay with us.
I look forward to your radar coming up next, Robby.